that I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
An interesting thought to me. I never considered that COVID could be affecting school security.
Oh, you got to figure it's probably affecting a lot. Teachers are probably sidetracked with a whole bunch of other things. Everybody's just kind of in a relaxed mood because not as many people are around as used to be. A lot of people are staying home from school. A lot of people are staying away from big congregations. So you may have a sense of security without the actual security being there.
Absolutely. A false sense of security, for sure. And, definitely, like I said, thoughts and prayers go out to this young man and his family as he apparently is still trying to battle. There were reports coming out that he had passed away, but apparently those were preliminary and untrue. So definitely glad to hear that he is still around. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get into our topics for this evening. The Capitol.
Yeah, I'm doing good, by the way. Thanks for asking.
Do what now? Oh, did I not ask this week? Darn. Always gonna catch me on that.
It was a very long weekend. I don't know what you had going on.
I had shows, and that was about it until the 11th. I really don't have any extracurricular activities to get into. So definitely, it was a nice weekend. I wish it had been longer.
No, it was long enough for me. Fourth Saturday of the month, we do our South Central wrestling events. So Friday, I was loading up the ring, taking it to the gym, setting it up, which is hard enough. Yep. Saturday, I actually competed in the ring, 2 different matches, one of them being an over-the-top rope battle royal. So getting eliminated.
Did you win?
Those are always fun. I won my singles match.
Woo!
Being thrown over that top rope 8 foot down sucks.
Yeah. Trust me, I know it does. Especially when you're not used to it.
Right. Then of course, by the time we get everything loaded up and back to the house, it's 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you're hitting Denny's up like we used to after shows.
Not when I'm doing the show now. And then, like an idiot, I guess I'm an American idiot from this weekend. I told a guy that I would referee some basketball games at a building down here, and it wound up being 4 games. So I was up and down the court for 4 games, 12-minute quarters.
Yeah,
you're
getting a little old there, Manny. I don't know if these can keep up anymore.
And then after I got home, because my wife had never seen Groundhog's Day, she'd wound up recording it on TV on the recorder, and we set up and watched that. So it was midnight when I went to sleep last night. So
oh wow,
I'm tired physically and mentally. So if I'm not quite on it, I'm sorry.
Look at this. Good thing I forgot to ask you how your weekend was, because it gave us enough opportunity to let another panelist.
Hello, how are you, fellas?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. Diva,
long work day.
I wanted to bring this up because we did bring it up, and it's a big story here in Arkansas. But the young man being shot down in Pine Bluff.
Yes, sir.
Of course, like I said before, thoughts and prayers out to the young man. But Manny Hispanic brought up a good point. Do you think COVID potentially has allowed security to lax a little bit with the fewer amount of students and things like that, and may have created a situation like this?
Yes, and also
at least give it an opening.
Yes, definitely. With fewer students, there are definitely not as much responsibility. We don't have to be as diligent or hyper vigilant with security. However, most schools do not do metal detectors anymore. That's like a misnomer. That was more of a 90s thing.
Right.
So honestly, this could happen anywhere. I mean, as far as like security, if they didn't know about the threat, I mean, it could have, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not sure what security or a teacher might have known about like a serious threat,
Well, I wonder if they have. I know in my school in Northwest Arkansas, and this has been, good Lord, 12 years ago now, 13 years ago, actually.
Youngin.
We had SROs, student resource officers.
Yes.
Do they have those in Pine Bluff that you know of?
Yes.
To my knowledge, every school still has one.
Yes, they do. And some schools have more than one. And they are real police officers in Little Rock School District, at least.
I was about to say, I know ours was as well. And, it's a sad situation. And one thing I am glad that I'm not seeing is the overwhelming gun control debate that always comes out of these. Thank goodness that's not already started, because let's be honest, I'd rather focus on the young man and his battle trying to keep his life than I would arguing about this.
He died.
He did end up dying. I know the governors came back and refuted the reports.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I read earlier was that he passed away.
Yeah, They reported on the news. KATV reported that he had passed away.
Right.
The governor, and I shared it in the American Idiots group.
Sorry, I just got home from work.
You're fine. I shared it in the American Idiots group chat. He said that the young man was still alive. So,
wow. Okay.
Hopefully this young man pulls through. 15 years old, man. That's way the hell too young.
That's my main age group of students. That's the 9th grader where I teach. So,
and you know what? Actually, go ahead.
I would definitely be interested to know what the motive was.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to minors and stuff, they're always so cagey about that type of thing. But it'll come out. It'll come out. With the kids will tell the story on social media, and it will get to the adults. But yeah, no, I mean, there's all kinds of things floating around in my head as to motive. One thing I am glad, and what does make it different, and why I think the gun control debate has not been popping all up, is because it seems like this was a personal matter, not a school shooting.
It was only one person, right?
Right.
And actually, the first thing that popped in my mind, because we just watched it with the Black Sheep a couple weeks ago on another podcast we have, Shenanigans, was American History X. That's the first thing I thought of whenever I heard
it.
It
was
like, my
it
God,
personal. Yeah. I mean, we don't know that.
Right. Absolutely.
And I don't have. Did they say what kind of gun yet?
I haven't seen anything as far as what kind of gun. I haven't seen anything as far as maybe a motive. I haven't seen anything with names. I mean,
I'm
obviously,
assuming
you
if
don't want
the
to.
child is still alive, it's probably a handgun, and if it was a personal matter, it's probably a handgun.
Yeah,
I'm just assuming.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, how is a kid gonna? Not saying that they couldn't, because I believe Columbine was rifles and actually various weapons.
Well, but Columbine was also initiated outside of the fence.
Was it? I thought it was initiated in school. I thought they.
I'm thinking of a different one.
In school.
Yeah, you're thinking of a different one. Columbine, they went through the school, the library. They set off smoke bombs.
Okay. Yeah. What was the one that the kids were outside of the fence actually shooting?
I don't know which one that is.
I was about to say it wasn't Jonesboro either, because Jonesboro
that was
inside of the school too. Yeah.
And
my goodness, so many of these you can just pop off the top of your head. It actually really is.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, Sandy Hook, but
yeah,
this seems different, which is probably why people are kind of being hush hush on the gun control thing. It's not jumping on it.
Right.
Doesn't make it any less tragic. I'm just.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Actually, and I mentioned the gun control people aren't up. The people who are talking about teachers being armed aren't saying anything either. So both sides are kind of keeping their distance from it, and I appreciate that, because
I do too.
That tends to cloud over the matter at hand.
I am a teacher and a gun owner, and I can tell you that I've thought about it a million different ways, and I do not think that we should be armed. And it doesn't matter how great I am with gun safety, don't matter how fast I am, doesn't matter how great a holster I own, et cetera, et cetera. I have 30 people in my care at all times, and they can overpower me in 2 seconds.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people think of whenever they talk about arming teachers, is the fact that these teachers are, number one, the ratio is way off.
Way too many students.
And number two, I mean, what happens if your back is turned and you're writing on the board? How quickly a kid can get up there and get your desk or something.
Just go, and the worst part is most of the kids are bigger than me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think I'm just on the fence about it, because I am definitely a Second Amendment person. I mean, I own several guns, so
right.
And I do want them for safety. And I will tell you that the truth is, if the truth is told, there are many teachers that bring guns in their cars at least. And we're not even supposed to do that, like, I'm not saying I do. I'm
school property and what have you.
I'm being clear. I'm not saying that I do, but I do know other teachers, but I do not know of teachers that carry concealed in school, but hey, they probably do.
I wouldn't doubt it.
They would lose their license and everything if they were caught, but I understand why they might feel that. I'm just saying I'm conflicted on the matter.
Absolutely. Okay, y'all. Let's get into our topics at hand here. The Capitol riot investigation, and we had quite a discussion on this last week about whether there was an actual need for it, but it's going to happen. And we have a story from Bloomberg Quick Take. I believe it's Mitch McConnell talking to Nancy Pelosi and, kind of getting on her case about the fact that it isn't needed.
Everyone agrees that today's events must occasion a serious and thorough review of the specific institutions and security procedures within Congress that prove so insufficient. That process is already underway, as we saw with the joint hearing conducted yesterday by 2 Senate committees. The Speaker of the House proposes even more investigation through a new commission. She cites the precedent of the 9/11 Commission. But her draft bill fails to track with that precedent in key ways. The 9/11 Commission was intentionally built to be bipartisan. The 50-50 bipartisan split of the commissioners was a key feature. It both helped the effectiveness of the investigation itself and helped give the whole country confidence in its work and its recommendations. This time, however, Speaker Pelosi started by proposing a commission that would be partisan by design. 7 appointments for Democrats, just 4 for Republicans.
Okay, so let's start off talking about.
sorry, he put me to sleep.
My dude
monotone,
has no
man.
inflection on his voice. Has anyone ever noticed that McConnell literally sounds like a robot?
Yep.
He's pretty bad. He even sounds like Franklin the Turtle. But let's start off with the point that he was making about the partisanship of the committee. I would agree, when you have a committee like this, it should be a 50-50 even split. That way, because whenever this report comes out, because they are going to move forward with this, whenever this report comes out, people are going to be able to say it was biased, no matter what the decision was.
Especially when you look at who are those Republicans. Yes, what do you say, 4?
7-4.
Okay, so 4 of them are Republican, but what Republican are they? Because we have already established there's 2 different Republican parties right now.
True.
The pro-Trump and the anti-Trump Republican parties.
True.
So how much of that stuff is going to be whitewashed or scooted under the rug so that they can push their agenda instead of let out the truth?
Well, and we're going to get into, obviously, the divide in the Republican Party in just a moment with Donald Trump making his return to the political spectrum this past weekend. But with that being said, this is another situation, and I know you don't agree with me, Micah. I'm not saying that we just completely push it to the side. I'm saying let's revisit it in the summer. There's more pressing matters right now.
I mean, I feel your point. My simple point is that how in the world could we allow one of our buildings to be overtaken like that?
That is troubling. I mean, agree.
It just means the White House is also vulnerable. I mean, how does this look to actual foreign terrorists? I mean, come on, guys. Like, that's the only reason I feel like it's really serious, because that was just hard. It was just it was absolutely inept. There's just no other. There was no security. You know what I mean?
It goes to a numbers game, though. At the end of the day, it turns into a numbers game. They didn't know how many people were going to be at that actual building,
right?
Whenever they decided to march down there to that building.
You know where, honestly, and this just occurred to me, whoever actually gave them, and I'm assuming that because they got so close, they had a permit. Whoever gave them a permit to protest like that needs to lose their job, because any permit you issued on that day, you lost your mind, because you probably shouldn't have
like,
specific day been issued.
And I don't know that the permit allowed them to be that close that they had pulled.
Mm-mm.
Really?
I mean, they may have permitted to be over here, and then it's like, after everything that happened, they're like, okay, well, now let's go over here. And once you get that many people in motion, a handful of cops isn't going to stop anything.
That's a good point. Initially, there was nothing planned at the Capitol, correct? It was only going to be at Trump's deal.
It was
and then they went to this. So, I mean, I'm conflicted on that, because how can you plan on something you don't expect to happen, too?
Well, they did expect something to happen. That's why a couple of people had mentioned that they had wanted the National Guard present.
Yeah.
True.
I'm going to say
Pelosi decided not to.
How is it that I knew something was popping off on that day, but no, it's like, I knew that, like, everyone's been talking about January 6th, you know, So I don't understand why people say they didn't know nothing about it. Like, it was clear on social media.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
And this is just speculation, and you can call me conspiracy theorist if you want. I really believe that people allowed it to happen knowing it was going to happen because they wanted to be able to use that to spin it in a light that they wanted to.
I don't think they would have desecrated the house like that. I really, the Senate chamber, the House chamber, I don't think they would have desecrated the statues. I don't think that they would have, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that patriotic, and I feel real patriotic about that building, you know? I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, this is where me and Sean differ. Sean says that there was no insurrection attempt. In my opinion, I think the initial thought was, yeah, we're going to go and stop this thing.
Yeah.
And when they got there, there was just no plan.
Yeah,
so that's why you saw the scatter, especially when they found out the House had convened and everybody split up.
I mean, Manny, maybe you're just a little more cynical than me. I just want to believe that no one would allow the nation's house to be messed up.
I would hope not.
Well, you also got to look at like 9/11. I really believe that our government had something to do with that.
Shame on you.
I'm just saying.
Here's where I'll meet you there. I believe we blew up the buildings so that they did not collapse onto other expensive gazillion-dollar real estate on Manhattan. I believe that we dropped them. Like
I'll tell you where I am stonewalled. I love the man to death. G-Dub ain't smart enough to plan something like that.
No,
I don't think it was president. I think it was CIA.
I thought it was Dick.
Yeah.
I think you can convince me it goes as far as Dick, but I don't think it goes on G-Dub's side.
Well,
and his reaction just seemed too genuine for him to have known.
I'm a good actress. I could have stood on that same pile of rubble with that same megaphone, making everybody cry the same way, even if I knew. But the thing is that the tops of those buildings should have fallen off, which would have ruined a lot of real estate. Old, expensive Manhattan real estate, like Wall Street and all that stuff. There is no way both towers dropped like that. That was
right.
I'm sorry, but I'm with Manny. I'm with him on that. That there's something.
And World Trade 7. If you look at it, World Trade 7, which they told you they dropped on purpose, fell almost identically to the way the towers did.
If you watch any towers blow up, that's how they do it, line by line by line. I mean, floor by floor by floor. And the reason is because they didn't want the tops falling off and ruining more real estate. I'm telling y'all.
One Saturday, whenever me and Brad decide to do 9/11, invite you guys on, and you guys can beat me up.
Well, that's the only thing I actually believe about the conspiracies is that part. But I mean, I can entertain the rest of them, So
right.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it went deeper than that. I think those charges were planted over the weekend. Ready to go, and the whole thing was fabricated from the beginning.
That's a hell of a
reason to announce the war.
To start the wars because of the war machine, the industrial complex, the money, all that stuff. Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Sean makes a good point too, though. Absolutely, I will, Dina. Sean makes a good point when we've talked about this before, though. The scale in which the cover-up would have to be is almost the thing that makes me go, yeah, there's no freaking way. Just because so many people, you're telling me so many people know.
That's a good point.
You need a lot of people to know, and not one person said something.
Maybe they're waiting till a deathbed confession.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
One of the things that really made me start thinking about that kind of stuff was the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight.
That's a good one.
Really?
It was just a handful of people that put that stuff in action.
Manchurian Candidate is another.
I about The Long Kiss Goodnight and forever. Holy crap! I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. That was a good movie.
Yeah, because he straight up tells her, because she says, so you're gonna fake like 4,000 people dying just so that you get your money for your war. And he says, well, I don't know how to fake that, but, you know, we can make it really happen, and we'll blame it on them.
Eat. My dog is not refusing to eat. I'm sorry. But no, you're right.
Just as bad. Right. Dina says, yep, agree. Deathbed confession. Okay, so this next one, we're going to get to have some fun because I haven't heard his CPAC speech yet.
Oh.
But I have the highlights from WION. And I'm going to have some fun when we get back.
Thank you very much. And hello, CPAC. Do you miss me yet? Do you miss me? Joe Biden has had the most disastrous first month of any president in modern history. That's true. Already the Biden administration has proven that they are anti-jobs, anti-family, anti-borders, anti-energy, anti-women, and anti-science. In just one short month, we have gone from America first to America last. The Democrats don't have grandstanders like Mitt Romney, Little Ben Sass, Richard Burr, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Pat Toomey. And in the House, Tom Rice, South Carolina, Adam Kinzinger, Dan Newhouse, Anthony Gonzalez, that's another beauty, Fred Upton, Jamie Herrera Butler, Peter Meyer, John Katko, David Valadeo, and of course the warmonger, a person that loves seeing our troops fighting, Liz Cheney. How about that? Joe Biden and the Democrats are even pushing policies that would destroy women's sports. Young girls and women are incensed that they are now being forced to compete against those who are biological males. It's not good for women. It's not good for women's sports. We're not starting new parties. You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Many people have asked, what is Trumpism? A new term being used more and more. I'm hearing that term more and more. I didn't come up with it. But what it means is great deals, great trade deals, great ones, not deals where we give away everything, our jobs, our money. Tens of millions of ballots, where are they coming from? They're coming all over the place. Where illegal aliens and dead people are voting, and many other horrible things are happening that are too voluminous to even mention, but people know. I mean, it's being studied, and the level of dishonesty is not to be believed.
Yeah. Just saying. So there's a lot to unpack in his comments there. Manny, I know you said that you watched it. Did you watch the whole thing?
No, I didn't watch the whole thing, but there was a lot of clips. Was that a fair
representation of what you got from it?
Sorry, say again.
As far as the tone of his speech, was that a pretty fair representation?
Yes. Yeah.
He messed up. He stepped in that pile of shit I told you before we started that he shouldn't have stepped in, and that was hey, I got screwed again. That's the first thing that jumped off.
Did he say he was going to beat him a third time? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sir, but you lost by 3 million votes the first time. Yes, you won the Electoral College. You lost by 7 million votes and a lot of Electoral College votes. What is he talking about? I feel so dumb after listening to him talk.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think it's unfortunate. Fortunately, we do use the Electoral College. And I say fortunately because very small areas would represent the majority of the U.S. if we went by popular majority. And I'm sorry, I don't care for New York or California dictating what we do here in Arkansas.
And see, that is one thing that I would agree with. That's my sticking point on the Electoral College. I don't want New York. If you win New York, California, and say Dallas, you've won the presidency. I don't feel like you should focus on. I feel like the Electoral College forces you to have a broad approach rather than focusing on certain population.
Actually, statistically, a person in Wyoming has 3.7% more representation than a person in California. It's not actually straight up like a percentage. It's literally not right. It's literally not right. Like, a person in Wyoming's vote counts more than a person in California's vote. And so, like, I disagree. I just think it should be one person, one vote, true democracy, period. The Electoral College was created because of slavery and the arguments about does a black person equal a person, and should the South be able to count black slaves as population. And the Electoral College is absolutely based on the idea that is a slave a person? Do we get to count them as population? And then that's when we came up with the 3/4 compromise, all of that. Also, the founding fathers were such elitists, did not trust the people to elect our leaders. And that's another reason that it's wrong. But,
I think tonight we've learned that the Electoral College is a sticking point.
No, I just think, but that's the thing. If you don't like California and New York and Dallas and Houston and Chicago making your decisions, then move there or get more people in the room. It doesn't make any sense. It's one person,
my question would be, how do can we not find a happy medium?
It's one person, one vote. It's one person, one vote. Your vote would actually be one person, one vote. We're not talking about local state policies or local. We're talking about the presidency. That's the only.
But at the same time, a presidential politics would then be confined to New York, Dallas, and LA.
It already is. I mean, not really. It's confined to the states that are on the purple. It's confined to Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Now we've got Nevada in play, Arizona in play. They literally spend all their last few weeks in Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan. It already is confined due to the Electoral College map. So, I mean, that argument doesn't hold either.
Touche. Dina says, I see since Trump didn't get charged, he decided it's cool to start running his fucking head again.
That's right.
I mean, my dude.
Yeah. Even if he would have been charged, he would have been running.
Said a lot. Oh, yeah. He definitely would still be running his mouth. He'd just have on an orange jumpsuit. My dude just.
I think that besides saying he was going to beat us the third time or whatever he said, I think the other thing that I really hate is the claim about dead people and illegal aliens, which I think is so disrespectful, even though that is.
Where does he not understand that he pissed off enough people that we had a voter turnout that was just insane? Where does he not?
Because in the past, it has been proven that people have gotten names of dead people.
I mean, but not on any type of scale that would sway the election.
It's like the 60s,
Probably
bro.
Not, but I mean, it still happened.
Kennedy in the 60s, bro.
Just saying, at one time, did it happen?
But would it sway the election? No.
Probably not.
Oh, he got his ass in.
If it's something wrong, you can still grab something wrong and say, hey, look, this happened. Even if it didn't matter, even if it didn't change anything.
And that's what we've talked about.
I'm not saying don't shine a light on it. We should always have transparency.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that, we talked about post-election that, Trump, if he makes these claims, how much of a point is he making compared to what?
Well, first of all, did y'all see the stage?
Yeah, I saw
it's the
that
Nazi symbol.
So interesting. I saw that.
I didn't see it. I didn't pay attention to that.
I'll see if I can find the meme. Hold on.
Yeah,
y'all talk amongst yourselves real quick,
so you can see it really good. It's the symbol that was on the 2 collars of the SS. It's like, it looks like the Jesus fish kind of, but with the things turned inward.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
And that's the thing. I'm not saying that Trump knew that, but somebody did that on purpose for reals.
Okay, here we go. I have a picture. It's kind of dark of the actual stage, but here we go. You should be. Oh, my bad.
There's the Nazi symbol right there, and then the stage looks just like it.
Yeah, if you see right here, it's kind of inverted, but if you look at it, here's this and the pieces, and there you see the CPAC stage. Do I think that was intentionally designed that way? And
yes.
I think it's a stretch.
It may have been intentionally designed that way from somebody.
Right.
I don't think Trump said, hey, we need to do this.
No, I don't either.
But I feel like the CPAC was like, hey, let's fucking use a Nazi symbol? I think they're a little bit smarter than that.
But whoever designed that stage was like, haha, nobody's going to catch me.
Right.
Because think about how many times that people have been caught using the white power thing with their hands. I'm not going to do it because it's like, I don't want anybody to screenshot me holding that up. But, you know, we've had people like live on news, like actual service people, soldiers, like holding it up in the background and stuff, trying to be slick, and they've gotten caught and gotten in trouble. So like that, I mean, I'm just saying there's always somebody trying to be slick about it. And I'm just saying.
Trump supporters and their confidence towards the 2024 round, plus the Trump golden calf. I have no clue what you're talking about.
You have not seen the golden calf?
What golden calf?
Okay, it's a biblical reference. So whenever Abraham and the Jews were wandering in the desert, they had to, their punishment was they had to go for a lot longer because they started worshiping other idols. And that's where the concept of the golden calf was one of the idols they were worshiping. And so God made them wander for 40 years in the desert before they got to the quote promised land.
Right.
So they have this statue of Trump that is made out of gold or some sort of.
Oh, wait. Yes, I did. I did see that. I forgot about the golden Trump. Yes.
So people are basically saying, because it's like worshiping an idol, like in the Bible.
So here's my thing, though.
I didn't know there was a golden statue of Trump.
There was. It's actually quite
gross.
It was sitting outside at CPAC. So here's my thing, though. Another thing that he said that literally, I don't know whether he just is ignoring what's staring him in the face or whether he's just this stupid, but saying that the Republican Party was going to unite under him again. Bro, you literally just named almost 15 names.
Adam Kinzinger, first of all, is future presidential material. So I don't think that he should be talking about that dude at all. Plus, he's an Iraq veteran and stuff, and like that's disrespectful as hell to me.
You literally named 15 names that are popular in their state. Like, did you not learn your lesson from going after John McCain? Like,
big time,
bro.
You know, a lot of
you to be like, hey guys, I'm sorry. I know you voted for impeachment. What can I do to make it better? No, he's doubling down,
tripling down. But you know, a lot of moderates and Republicans that voted for Joe Biden will point to the John McCain situation as one of the reasons. I mean, it was one of the main reasons, and I just think it's disgusting. John McCain is a hero, period. And I almost, like me, my stupid leftist self, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm pretty leftist. But at the time, I considered John McCain. I considered him, even though I'm pro-choice and everything, but he's just a good man.
I like to say I look at it from, I always go into every presidential election and try to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'll be honest, I almost voted for Obama the second time. Almost. I was actually, I had just met Sean and he was convincing me slowly but surely, but I ended up voting for Romney. I do not regret my vote for Romney, especially in seeing how he's handled the Trump situation. It makes me even more proud to say that. But
as I've gotten older, I just have more sticking points on women's rights. That's basically where it boils down to for me. Reproduction.
Absolutely. So we brought all this up to talk about also the how did we word this, Manny? The Trump aides that are now running for office in these swinging key states. And me and Manny were both talking back and forth, and I don't remember whether it was in the group or amongst ourselves. This could be a key. And Trump, I think Trump's smart enough that he's dispatched these people into these states to run, that he's going to use this as a barometer. If they get killed, he won't run. But if they do well, I feel like he'll announce.
He'll go ahead and pull the trigger on it.
It's actually a smart decision on his part to throw people to the wolves. I mean, he would do that. I mean, he doesn't care about fallout of anything or how it hurts a person. But yeah, I definitely agree with you guys' analysis on that. Definitely. But we'll see, because local politics are different than national elections, you know?
Well, and see, here's the weird thing, and this is just like statistically, midterm elections have fewer turnout. And it always skews red. It always skews to the right. Statistically.
Yes.
Can you learn enough that you can base a presidential run off of a midterm election?
No. Although
you're going to see what the people are wanting in certain states. So it could base his decision. I mean, it could tell you a little bit of what he's thinking.
You know, Georgia changed the whole game.
Yes, they did.
Because Loeffler, being such a QAnon crazy person, did not help. Because Ossoff actually got way less votes than Warnock. And Ossoff was going against the dude that was actually kind of sane. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Warnock was going against QAnon Loeffler girl, and he got more votes. So it just goes to show you it can be done. Ossoff pulled it off, but like Georgia proves that they do not like Trump and they do not want Trump's people, you know.
And see, that's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see how these Trump aides, how closely they stick to them. Like I was talking to Mooney beforehand. SHS, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she's going to play that card till the wheels fall off.
She's not going to have any problems. She might. I don't. There's no Democrat in Arkansas right now that could beat her, and I say that as a person who supports the Democratic Party.
Completely.
But we just don't have a candidate because she has too much star power, name recognition, et cetera, et cetera.
Her dad was the governor here, and a pretty popular governor. I still like Mike. I mean, Mike says some off the damn wall shit, but I still like Mike. Now, I wasn't an educator. I heard he fucked up the education system, so I was too young.
He
ruined it with his career on Fox News for me. He was no longer the Arkansas governor. He just had a mouth on him. And then also, I do not support covenant. I do not support covenant marriage, which him and his wife, Big Janet, as I call her, they both supported and passed into. Yeah, you can laugh, Michael. I said it.
Big Jan,
and she's not big as like a woman. She's just like an overpowering lady. But Big Janet and Mike got married at Alltel Arena. That's how old I am. In 2005, and they passed covenant marriage, which was a backlash against the push towards marriage equality for LGBTQ. And in Arkansas, covenant marriage is legal, where you have to go through a lot of shit to get a divorce, like a year's worth of therapy.
You have to go through counseling and all sorts of shit.
And like we were protesting outside of Alltel that night, and it was crazy because all these church buses were flying in, and we were out there with a lot of LGBTQ, and I was passing out these rocks that I had handwritten on there. You without sin cast the first stone. This was 2005. So this is way before marriage equality became legal and all that. And like what would happen when they would walk up is like the men would like grab their wives' hands, like, I'm sorry, you afraid you're gonna get some gay on you? And then like a lot of them would not take my rocks, and they said scripture, and I was like, I'm sorry, do you think you're gonna catch AIDS? Like it was.
This is why I love the diva.
The diva got some stories. When I tell you, I got some stories. But let me just say, I have not really had much respect for them after that. And what I saw outside by the people, and really, honestly, this is way pre-Trump, but the Trump mindset, it was there. The Trump mindset was there in 2005 with my own eyes. And then again in 2012 with Huckabee's Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day that I also protested all day long. Google it. But the point is like Huckabee did some stuff to me that was way too religion in interfering with state government, and so no, I can't mess with the Huck.
Covenant marriage,
looking back, make me.
The covenant marriage is a personal choice.
I know that, but it's a law that we pass, and it's ignorant.
Now, here's something that I would disagree with in what you said, and I don't necessarily disagree with the tone of what you said. I don't think it should be harder for you to get a divorce. Absolutely disagree. I think, though, what I would support is a period where you had time to think about it.
Okay, but here's the deal. I was 19 and I fell in love with a man who was way older than me, and I was dumb and 19. I mean, smart in the head, dumb in the heart, right? No life experience. And you know what? He didn't lay a hand on me. So we get married, okay? And then guess what? He starts putting his hands on me, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Do I have the right to get away, or am I forced into therapy for a year? No, covenant marriage is not fair. You're asking people to make a commitment to something that may not be safe for them in the end.
Like I said, absolutely certain exceptions. If somebody's putting their hands on somebody else, you goddamn right. That needs to be taken care of.
Okay, but covenant marriage says you go to therapy, y'all. No.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I agree with covenant marriage. I'm saying that I agree that in certain instances, you should have a period of time to think and make sure that this is what you want. Now, if the dude's beating your ass, absolutely, that needs to be said.
I'm just saying, at 19, Manny's point that, I'm sorry, it's not Manny. What is your name? I'm sorry. Is it what do I?
Me?
Yeah. Okay. So
Manny.
His point that it's a choice, I agree, and I think it's really awesome. And I wish to God I could find a man that I would be willing to get into a covenant marriage with. But to this point, at 41 years old, I have not, and I don't trust anyone like that to not be able to get away. My best friend is in the exact same situation right now, where he will not agree. They have a lot of money involved and children, and he will not agree to divorcing her now. And
that's another thing I think is absolutely ridiculous. Why do you have to get somebody's permission to get a divorce? I think that's ridiculous. But
how you doing? How you doing, my California friends?
Good.
Sorry, we were talking about covenant marriage, which Arkansas has as a law here.
Yeah. Okay, Manny.
Arkansas has as a choice here. My wife and I are in a covenant marriage.
Well, I didn't mean to disrespect your marriage, and I hope you don't hurt her.
She was the one who brought it up and was really wanting it.
And I'm sure you're really sweet to her, but for women like me
that's my queen. Yes, I'm sweet to her.
But he knows if he like me, she gonna catch that backhand.
I just don't feel like I was smart enough to consent to that, and therefore I don't think it should be a law.
Well, and like I said, absolutely, completely agree with you. In situations where something is so wrong, where somebody's putting their hands on, fast track that shit. But I do believe that there are some people that I think that there should be a waiting period to get married.
That's because y'all are men. Y'all have never been abused.
Well, no. I think that both parties need to think about this and make sure that it's actually what they want too.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
My question is this: have you ever, the common law thing? It's based on living together, right?
Mm-hmm. We don't have that here.
In Arkansas.
We don't have that, but we got covenant marriage.
Oh, you don't. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but even for the covenant marriage, you have to go through therapy. You have to go through couples training.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But nothing trains an abuser to stop putting his hands on you. He never
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely agree. And like I said, that's the situation where I'd be like, yeah, fast track that shit, get that poor woman out of that situation.
My question is, and it's a valid point by all concerned.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that person?
Right.
What do you mean?
When you have a conversation, when y'all met on the street, and the conversation begins, and it's nice and good, and everything's great. But as soon as you commit to each other, something goes horribly wrong.
Mr. Rock said it the best.
What do you
when
say?
you meet somebody, you're not meeting them, you're meeting their representative.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And
Chris Rock had this whole segment in one of his comedy shows about that subject.
Yeah.
I think that's something that you do need. How did we get on this, first of all? But
Huckabees. Y'all asked me my opinion on the Huckabees, and so I went.
Oh yeah, true. We started talking about Huckabee. Anyway, so I think that it goes both ways, though. Not only do I think in certain instances there should be a period before divorce, there should definitely be a period before marriage. You should know this person before you make a lifelong commitment to them, in my opinion.
But what if in the end they leave you? Then what if it wasn't bad, but they still leave you and break your heart?
It happens.
People
certainly
suck
does.
sometimes.
It happened to me.
People suck.
But then, hold on. Now, I can give you a perfect example of my own situation.
Come on, hit us with it.
I've been married for 30 years. To the same person, but we have different ideologies.
Okay.
We're not the same. She's one way and I'm the other. I have things that I like and things that I do, and she has stuff that she likes and stuff that she does.
Right.
And we keep it separate. But the marriage is still intact.
That's good.
That's good. That's good.
But hold on. It gets real fun. The way we met was we met on a train, and I was working for the Department of Agriculture, and she was working for Nordstrom's. And maybe a month, we started living together.
Right.
Give it maybe 6 months later, we got married.
Yeah, that was my first marriage.
Now, here's the thing. Do we know each other?
I didn't. I did not know.
We had to learn about each other's stuff.
And I unfortunately learned bad things.
Right. No, now I have never, in your situation, I have never put my hands on my spouse.
You should not.
That's a no-no. I wasn't raised that way. My parents didn't do that each other, and they lived separate lives.
Right.
And they stayed married until they passed. Okay. So it varies from state to state, I guess, in Arkansas and where I'm from.
You get in the Bible Belt, that's where you get these covenants.
Migrate to, and I followed my bride all the way to California. So, and it's just we're just two different people,
right?
So, but
I mean,
we worked it out,
right?
We may not agree and we may not be tight like we used to,
right?
But we may,
that is something that the generation underneath us does not understand.
Agreed.
You're right.
Yeah.
They
they're doing too fast, and words is nice, but then it gets real complicated.
Yep.
And then it's really, really bad now in this generation where people, they do things too fast. And,
too fast.
Well, I'm pregnant.
Right.
And what that mean to me? So,
I mean, y'all would.
Some of them will work it out, and some of them don't, and it's really a horror show when it comes down to it.
I worry.
It worked for a friend up there with his spouse and may work for you and yours, and she had a problem with her, she didn't know. And it goes back to, how do you know that person? Maybe you have to do a whole year. Maybe you have to do 2 years.
Right.
I don't know. Go, like he said, go to a therapy session. Maybe it'll work. And maybe I'll need to do I'll catch you if I fall type of sessions. I don't know.
Yeah.
Catch you if I fall. Just fall.
Commitment's a choice, though. Like, to me, like, you can commit to someone and it's a choice. Love is a choice. You can fall in love, but
then you can fall out of love.
Yes, you can fall out of love, but to stay committed and to say, I love you enough and respect you enough to commit to you, that's woo. And as long as it's not toxic, I support all marriages to stay together, period. As long as there's not abuse. As long as there's not abuse.
Completely agree with you.
I agree with that. As long as there's no violence. But see, and then a lot of relationships now, it gets violent, and I don't know why it gets violent. Why do guys act the way they do, and even some women act the way they do?
Okay, before we get too far down this road,
sorry.
Anything else? Oh, you're fine. Was there anything else we wanted to mention on Trump?
I was just going to bring up. The people that we knew about. The Alabama senator seat right now. Cliff Sims and Linda Blanchard are running for that. They've got their eyes on that. Pennsylvania senator seat.
Pennsylvania's going to be very telling. I think Alabama is going to be very telling. I think Alabama has a chance being right there bumped up against Georgia. Watch Alabama. It may not be the solid South any longer if Trump stays with this stranglehold around the GOP.
Well, but if Trump stays with his stranglehold and the people vote these people in, then that's going to tell Trump, oh, I should keep going the way I'm doing.
I would agree. We're going to learn a lot, I think, here on these midterms.
I never gave my opinion about the Trump thing. It's a sad thing, because I'm not going to hide that who I am. Okay, I am a Democrat. And everybody has their opinions. And I go through constant battles with friends of mine online about this whole thing with the Trump persona setup, where he does things, but he was never held accountable.
Right.
He carried himself in a way, and they liked it. He does things, and it was okay. Some things I agree with. The tariff was a good move, but other than that, everything else he did was a little bit stacked in. And I really feel bad for this country in general if it's gonna go that way. Because you're going to listen to a man that tells you, well, I feel that I've been violated and they did this and they took my such and such. I want you to walk down there and terrorize these people and do this for me. Do it for me. Yeah. And they go and they do this, and he's not being held accountable. It bothers me. That just goes to show that something is wrong, very wrong with society today. Well, if another individual did that, and I'm going to go to the Obama thing. If he did that, they wouldn't even hesitate but to send him up the river real quick and anything else real fast.
Well, I mean, I completely agree with that statement because, I think any other president would have been held more accountable than the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. One thing I wanted to hit on that I'm actually glad you brought up because you mentioned the tariffs, it made me think about this. What did you think about the first point that video we played made, Manny, in that he said that Biden's first month in office was the most disastrous in our country's history?
I don't know what all he erased. I think he's kept the tariffs on China. I don't know that he's changed any of the trade deals with any of the other places.
I don't think he has.
No, he hasn't.
So
I think he re-entered the Paris Climate Agreement, and what was the other one that Trump got us out of? World Health Organization. He re-entered, and there was one other that I'm forgetting.
Oh, the climate. He did the climate thing too.
Yeah, Paris.
Yeah, the climate thing where
he's negotiating the Iran nuclear deal again too.
Oh yeah,
right. But it hasn't happened.
They're keeping them at arm's length.
We're going to get into the Middle East.
Yeah, we will get into that.
For a Democrat being ballsy as hell, and I appreciate Joe Biden for what he's doing, because that man is showing he's got a pair.
Let me tell you, the biggest lie of the election is that Joe Biden is a leftist, because he's not.
True.
I've been called a leftist.
What?
I don't think Joe's anywhere close to a leftist.
No.
I don't even know what a left is. I mean, I'm left-handed, but that's about it.
Left is like the extreme liberal, I guess.
So a leftist is the Democratic version of a conservative. It's their version. It's their extreme.
Far to the left of the center.
Right. I've had a friend of mine call me a communist.
There you go.
You're probably
a leftist.
Like, why? What did I do?
I feel like I need a Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a leftist.
Here's your sign.
So, as far as the question goes, I'm thinking he's going to say whatever he has to say to try to encourage the people that are following him.
Right.
Bottom line. Yeah. I voted for Trump because of his business sense.
Mm-hmm.
He got us out of a bunch of trade deals that the U.S. was spending more money than these other countries.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I was looking at.
He is an amazing businessman, and I would never fault the man on it. But other than that,
Micah don't think so. I can see that face. Micah's like, he ain't a good businessman.
I was just thinking the six bankruptcies say otherwise.
I've said it a million times.
That was blown up.
Bankruptcy is a tool to use.
I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. If Donald Trump would have handled the economy and pushed everything else off on everybody else and delegated, he would have been an okay president.
Well, actually, what I was really thinking was I don't give a good goddamn what he does on the economy, because he's a rapist and he's a racist. That's a period for me, no go.
So that's a good goddamn. What's a bad goddamn?
Who did he rape?
All the women that said he did, because I believe women.
Because women don't lie.
I believe women do not go on the record with that kind of stuff and put themselves in a national spotlight if it's not true. Because look at how they get maligned. Look at how they get brought down. Going all the way back to Anita Hill. Going all the way back to Judge Kavanaugh's hearings just 3 years ago. I mean, she was fucking, her whole family had to move because they were threatened with death just because a woman dared to speak. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if Governor Cuomo, if he's guilty of this shit, he's got to go too, because I believe women.
What about the women that accused Biden?
Okay, well, I can't really talk about one individual. He's not a political person, but there is an incident where an individual, I'm not going to say his name because it's not the right time to, was accused of something that he did not do, and it was a lie from a female.
Yeah.
But his career was ruined because of it.
And Kobe's career wasn't ruined. Maybe
I ain't talking about Kobe. I'm not talking about Kobe. Not talking about Kobe.
He didn't name the person.
Not talking about Kobe. I'm not talking about Kobe. He's an actor.
He's not naming names.
Not talking about Kobe.
I have seen situations where it has gone on to ruin people, and it came out later that, those are the minority. I want to stress, in my opinion, those are the minority where somebody makes something up. But
it's just usually when it's an actual truth, there's like a lot of women that will come forward. Like,
oh yes, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. There's usually a pattern.
I don't want to get into the Kavanaugh thing, but the Kavanaugh thing, I feel like there was a lot of holes in it. and this is 2 years on. I don't remember exactly where my problem was with her, but I remember thinking, man, there's a lot here that is left up to, well, I think I remember,
because she was 16 and she's now almost 50, but it's cool. I don't understand a woman's mind and how
well, here's the thing.
Exactly.
Hold on. Wait.
I agree with that.
Here's the thing with this.
I'll never pretend to understand.
If an incident has happened, why wait so long to bring it up?
Same point that the diva brought up earlier. You're opening yourself up to some pretty bad scrutiny, especially with the Brett Kavanaugh, with the Bill Clinton, with the Donald Trump, with the Cuomo. You're putting yourself on Front Street for a lot of problems.
I mean, until Me Too, I mean, the whole point and the reason the words Me Too happen is because so many women have suffered in silence because, number one, they don't want to lose their careers. They don't want to be blackballed. They don't want to talk about it. I mean, that's one of the biggest things is you get judged like there's something wrong with you when you were victimized. I mean, there are so many reasons why women do not come forward. Sometimes we don't remember. Like my stepmother, she didn't remember for her whole life until she was like 50 years old, until it came crashing back to her in therapy, like a movie, that she was molested by her father when she was a child. Sometimes we block it out. Like,
I would agree.
That's a person. That's people that do that, not just women.
Right.
Absolutely. And I apologize for not making that point because, especially we should normalize and destigmatize men talking about sexual abuse because it happens to them, especially by family members a lot, I would say, because I dated a lot of guys in my time. And I can tell you that I would say probably maybe 60% of the men I've ever been with have had sexual assault in their past or harassment or whatever you want to call it from a family member. That's a fact. It's very common. And we need to talk about it. That just gives you an example of why women don't come forward. Men really don't come forward. Why?
Right.
Stigma. It's just a lot.
They're looked at as a man.
Exactly.
And that takes away from them. So a lot of men will not come forward about that.
Okay,
on sexual harassment, a lot of women, if it's somebody powerful and they have a really good job, they choose to just stay silent to keep their job.
Agreed.
It's a lot of reasons.
Well, Mike is trying to shut us up.
Yeah, he is, because we're 2 topics in an hour.
My bad.
Oh no, you're fine.
It's always
okay. Real quick, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about stimulus, the confirmation battle, and some pro-LGBTQ churches being expelled. So we'll be right back with more American Idiots after this. On March 13th, 2021, live from the Hard Rider Bar and Grill in Cabot, Arkansas, the Arkansas Wrestling Organization, in conjunction with Podcast Network 49 and Hard Rider Bar and Grill, presents AWO Anniversary 2, the 2nd anniversary of the fastest rising promotion in the state of Arkansas. On the card that night will be an open invitation ladder match for the Bar Brawl Championship, Will Justin Vincent's Miracle Reign atop the Bar Brawl series come to an end? Also that night in the #1 contender match for the AWO Tag Team Championship, see the Lost Souls Ray and Josh Cross take on the debuting Dead West in what is sure to be an absolute war. For the AWO Tag Team Championship, see Team Pretty Queer take on the Young Goats in what could go down as the most dangerous title defense of their reign. And after months and months of unprovoked and infuriating attacks, the boss has finally decided to allow the Psychotic One to take care of business, as the Psychotic Savior will meet Grayson Beckett. Finally, after holding the title for nearly the entire 2 years of its existence, D-Mike must step into the unfamiliar role as challenger as he receives his last opportunity at the AWO Champion guarantee for the AWO Championship in a last man standing match. All this and more will be coming your way live on March 13th, 2021 from the Hard Rider Bar and Grill at 6613 John Hardin Drive in Cabot, Arkansas. The opening bell will be at a special start time of 7 p.m. This is a 21 and up show, and masks are required. Come on out and join the AWO for Anniversary 2.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
We can make our beloved country the source of all the dreams and the opportunities that she was missing.
Welcome to the American Idiots Podcast, the show where we take the most divisive headlines and put them to the debate with our diverse group of hosts. Join us as we leave no story uncovered and spare no politician. Okay, back for hour number 2, and we're going to get right into it. The stimulus package finally passed the House, but the question is, will it pass the Senate? We have a story from CNBC.
Last night, this was close. Speaking of votes on the House floor, this one was close, just a couple of votes over the hurdle that they needed. The House did pass, ultimately, this measure now to increase the stimulus payments to individuals from $600, which was in the bill that passed last week and that the president ultimately signed.
God damn it, wrong fucking story. Anyway, with that being said, the story, the House passed the $1,400 stimulus checks. Good Lord, that said it was a week ago. Anyway, with that being said, the question is, can it pass the Senate? With the current form of the bill and the $15 an hour minimum wage being written into the bill, absolutely not, in my opinion. I think this is the absolute wrong time to look for a minimum wage increase. We need to get these checks out immediately. We can go back and fight minimum wage, just like I've been talking about fighting this whole issue with the Capitol riots. We can address that later. Let's get this done. Let's get these people taken care of, and let's get it out there.
I agree.
But right now, the answer is no, in my opinion.
I agree with helping out the people. I think they did everything kind of out of context. It's more that the people need the money. You had this COVID situation, and if everybody needs help nationwide. So yeah, I agree.
The 15 minimum wage is definitely not going to make it. But the president has even admitted that. Like,
right.
It's It's not going to make it. But I mean, I don't blame the Democrats for trying, but it doesn't go it doesn't even parliamentarily go in this type of package. You can't even squeeze it in there.
It's not even all the Democrats that's trying. There have been several Democrats that have spoken against the minimum wage hike.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, this is a thing where I can call out the Democrats on hypocrisy, because 2-3 months ago when we got the $600 checks, Democrats and Republicans were bashing how much extra was thrown in that bill. And trust me, that bill, there was a lot of fat in that bill. But, you can't sit there and bash this bill and then turn around and try to shove shit in the next bill. Come on now. Common sense. I know this is how politics is done, where you try to slide stuff in on the sly. Come on now. You guys got to do better than
But
this.
they need to stop. In my personal opinion, they need to put bills that are solo bills. You shouldn't be able to add stuff into things hoping that it'll get passed.
I agree.
If you want something done, make your own bill and present it.
I completely agree with that statement. To be fair, I mean, I guess you could argue the $15 minimum wage helps the country, more than a stimulus technically, but it don't.
Because there will be a lot of people that lose a job.
Hey, I have a question. How do I share the link to this?
If you go to my page, I've shared it.
Okay.
Go in there, click the share button, you're good to go.
If people are asking me to share it and I have no idea, so go to your personal Facebook page and share it from there.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
And then the next question is, someone just asked me, what are we streaming on? What is this?
This platform that we use is called StreamYard.
StreamYard.
Thank you. I'll be back in just a second.
V7ANK6.
And all I have to say on this is, I want my money. Let's go.
Right.
Stimmy today.
Something though that I thought of before we came on the air, and Manny, you kind of talked it out a little bit, but Arkansas actually just approved a minimum wage in the last election. And I'm wondering, because now I looked it up and Googled it, and that's by the end of 2021, they want us at an $11 minimum wage. My question is, I have no problem with $11 minimum wage. No problem at all with that. Are they going to push that back because so many small businesses are struggling, though?
Yeah.
With the end of COVID, I would definitely support moving that deadline to maybe middle of next year or early next year. But how do you feel about that, Manny? I definitely heard the diva say that. When she comes back, we'll let her have a.
I'm sorry. I'm talking to one of my bays.
You're fine. Is it Dr. Bay?
I'm kidding. I don't have a bunch of bays, just one.
Yeah, we have Dr. Bay.
Dr. Bay is definitely in there somewhere.
How do you feel about the pushing this deadline back due to COVID? Do you think it's something?
I think it needs to happen, because you've got a lot of businesses that are hurting right now, just because they haven't had any income coming in. A lot of places have closed.
Yes.
Sketchy peasant.
Out here in California, it's the same thing. A lot of businesses have shut down due to the COVID situation and the lack of the stimulus. So, yeah.
I was trying to read what that text was.
Oh, I apologize. He said it's sad Republicans don't want to raise minimum wage to a living wage.
Well, he needs to take that word Republicans out of there, because several Democrats have spoken against this.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. I think I personally, I'm not sure. I can't speak for Manny. I think the three of us here, myself, Taboo Taker, and the Diva, all would agree with the minimum wage hike. I think what we're all saying here is that
15 is too much.
Time to pass that minimum wage.
15's too much. Where? When? If we get people off of the government assistance because they're making a living wage, we're going to save money in the end.
You're not going to get people off government assistance. What you're going to do is create a whole bunch of unemployment, because businesses will lay off. If they've got 5 employees, they will keep 3 and lay 2 of them off.
They're going to survive. They've survived every minimum wage hike the government has ever put on them, and we're doing fine.
The question I have, though, is the small businesses. We all think of the Amazons. We all think of the Walmarts. Yeah, they can survive. Can the small businesses, just like I asked about the COVID thing, can the small businesses survive?
And no, let me stop you there.
I've seen that firsthand down in where I'm at in Hayward, California, and a lot of businesses have closed down. The little arcade store is gone.
Because
the
of
little
COVID.
mom and pop stores are gone.
Yeah.
They're just gone because they can't keep up. Bowling alley just shut down.
Go to the Hot Springs Mall. That place is sad, and that was way before COVID.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That place
Pines
went
Mall,
down
Pines Mall too.
bad.
Pines Mall.
But right down the road, we have a Walmart. And when I was going to that Walmart one day, I actually heard one of the employees telling somebody else that they are already talking about going to nothing but self-checkouts. How many people lose their job right there at Walmart?
But
a lot of Walmarts in my area actually have specifically gone to either a majority.
They're already doing checkouts now in California.
But automation is happening. So how do we create jobs? Oh, hello, climate crisis! Yay, job creators! That's how we're going to combat automation.
Explain. I'm not making the connection.
Well, that's why I chose my career. I'm an electrician. I've got a journeyman's license in electric work. No matter how automated anything gets, it still needs power. So,
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with you. What about like Taboo Taker mentioned? What about these bowling alleys? What about these these businesses that are hit hard by COVID that are going to have time to recuperate? Not only have time to recuperate, but they may not have been able to afford that beforehand. Like I said, I'm not talking about the Amazons of the world, the Walmarts of the world. I'm more worried about these people that, we're talking about when we say shop local. I'm worried about, Mom and Pa's grocery store on Main Street closing up because all of a sudden they can't afford this type of stuff.
But, okay, no offense, but if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to have a business, just like Sketchy Peasant just said, then you need to have a solid business plan and fail safes. I'm sorry. That sucks, but that's American dream. That's part of the American dream. And Republicans should support right there. Pull up by your bootstraps, man. So I don't want to hear it. No, your business
Unfortunately, that's not happening in California.
I feel
Example, down in San Francisco, all the restaurants, the small ones, have closed down.
Yeah.
Some of them have been around and were fan favorites. They just couldn't pay the rent. You had to pay property tax and all that. And it cost too much.
Here's
how are they going to pay the employees?
Right.
Here's where I think.
How are they going to live? So they've been trying to get loans. They can't get loans. They try to get grants, can't get grants.
Yep.
Only the big ones get the grants.
Yep.
And that's happened with some of the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But the little ones are gone.
Here's where the Republican comes out.
Always go to it. Okay.
Here's where the Republican comes out in me, though. I don't think there should be a federal minimum wage because I don't think that the minimum wage, the livable wage in Arkansas, this isn't me thinking, this is true, is the same as the livable wage in New York. I think it should be a state-handled issue. Should you potentially put out a guide? Sure. But I don't think that anybody in Arkansas needs $22 an hour to survive. I think...
And this has always been my sticking point on this. We have Magic Springs, a local theme park. Mm-hmm. You can be hired at Magic Springs at 14 years old. Tell me why a 14-year-old that has no bills needs $15 an hour. Makes no sense.
Well, because we were talking about generational poverty and cyclical poverty last week, and people need to be able to purchase land and homes because that is the only solid investment that you can pass to your children.
But I think the point Manny's making is, what 14-year-old do you know that's trying to buy property?
Okay, but Okay, so we're not going to teach people that they're worth their work, or we're not going to.
Are they going to learn? I remember when I was at my first job, my dad telling me that I could save some of that money from that first paycheck, and I told him I'm going to get another one next week.
And
I wasn't looking at saving.
Well,
It's not. That's my point. How many of these kids are thinking along those lines? And even when they're told along those lines, they don't pay attention. Not all of them.
I didn't. I mean, my first job, I was a newspaper carrier. So
Xander says
delivering newspapers to house. Yeah, was my first job. And keep money.
Agrees that he thinks it absolutely needs to be handled by the state. And Dina says she's all for universal basic income.
Yeah, Dina, go yang gang, yang gang, yang gang.
Once again, though, I don't think that I need to make the same amount to live a comfortable life as what somebody in New York City, where the cost of living for an apartment is like $1,800 a month.
Let's talk about credit.
Hello.
Let's talk about
$1,800 right here.
Yes.
California.
Let's talk about credit, though.
Yeah.
You can't even rent an apartment without 3 times your income of the rental of the apartment. What's the average apartment in Arkansas? You would not believe this.
Mine here specifically is a 2-bedroom. I think we pay $715 a month.
Exactly. And so does everybody in Arkansas?
Maybe I need to move to Arkansas.
But to be fair, though, how many?
We know that's cheap compared to California, boo-boo. But what we're saying is you can't rent without having 3 times that amount in income. Nobody makes that shit in Arkansas if you're not a professional.
Exactly. How many landlords do you know that actually enforce that?
So we're just reinforcing now all of them. I promise.
There's a lot of them, dude.
I was about to say, I know mine doesn't.
Well, I know one thing, that a lot of people are leaving California because the cost of living wage is too high.
I would live in California if it was affordable.
I think we all would. I think we would all either live in California, New York City, someplace other than the state of Arkansas. If we could. Sketchy Peasant says all wages rise, minimum wage rises. I don't understand the attacks on the minimum wage and poor people. Wages have been stagnant since the 70s and productivity has skyrocketed.
I agree.
I wouldn't
Sketchy
disagree
Peasant,
with
you
that
on
statement.
point.
Like I said, I'm not against a minimum wage hike. I'm against a across the board hike for, like I said, I think it's a state issue. I don't think
$15 is still not a living wage. $15 not even in Arkansas.
Here's the thing I want to ask, and I'm not leaving the minimum wage thing, but I'm adding to it. Why does the CEO get a raise and the worker does not?
Oh, I would agree. If you want to ask those kind of questions, tell me why somebody with mental disabilities, like Working at Abilities Unlimited here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, is paid under $7.25. Paid less than minimum wage right now.
That is disgusting. I agree with you.
It is.
That's disgusting.
I agree.
But
you've got a lot of companies that do that kind of stuff. Goodwill does that stuff. Several of those nonprofits do that kind of thing.
And I mean, companies find ways to skirt around the minimum wage anyway. I mean, look at restaurants. Restaurants pay their servers
an hour, baby.
Yeah.
An hour.
And then they're like, well, you make tips, so technically it's okay. Like, I think that skirting around bullshit is bullshit as well. So, I mean, trust me when I say that businesses, especially big businesses, aren't hurting by any stretch of the imagination. Sketchy Peasant says the CEO used to make 30 times their average worker in the 70s. Today it is 300 times. Is that okay?
No.
Yeah.
I don't care if you are.
Does that average worker have to deal with the same strategic decisions that the CEO has to make?
I mean, okay, so Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and what's his name? Steve
Jobs.
They're brilliant. They created probably the most brilliant things in the whole entire world. I would argue Amazon is probably the greatest business model in history. Okay.
Right.
However, you still don't deserve that kind of shit. That's ridiculous.
Amazon.
I'm sorry. But 1% of the population owns 90% of the money, and y'all know that.
I think this is where me and Sean and Manny always had our disagreement, where, you know, he would always say these people are making more than they should ever make, and nobody should want that kind of money.
Living large.
Just give me a million.
I do a part-time job.
How many millions do you need? I'll take one. Thank you.
Diva.
But if I made 20, why shouldn't I keep the 20? Why should I be forced to give it away? That's my point.
I didn't say force you. I say it's gross.
We're not talking about taxes, dadgummit, Manny. We're not into taxes.
It's immoral.
We'll get into that some other time.
It's immoral at my school that my students, some of them, only eat at school. That's immoral.
I would agree.
Well, that's what happened in D.C. All the kids eat there because they can't eat anywhere else. The schools have to, they feed the kids. But there was a time they stopped that.
Yeah.
Then I'll start asking the same kind of questions I ask Sean whenever he brings up those kind of points. Are you going to cook some food and take to their house tonight so that they get 2 meals?
I know I do. I'm part of the United Panther Party, and we feed the children all the time.
Yeah.
What?
So they're eating right now?
They're like hyping.
Well, we do diaper drives. Yeah. We do all that stuff. Yes, we support.
Awesome.
We have our own.
That's good. That's good.
That's awesome.
That's
we do a lot of things. Yeah.
Oh,
but
I have to,
save the world.
That's good. That's happening in your world. I have to worry about earthquakes, so I have to do a survival mode.
Right. So you have like extra water and all that?
Yes, I do. I have it all packed up in the car.
You're starting to sound a lot like our former host on here, Black Sheep. Well, not former host. He's just taking a step away. But yeah, you're starting to sound a lot like him. This is where, we would always disagree. Because
you're looking at greedy people, period. It doesn't matter what kind of government you have or what kind of businesses you have or what you've got in play. Greedy people are going to be greedy people.
Look to my sci-fi friends over here. I know y'all love sci-fi. Every apocalyptic movie or book or show comes down to one thing: a bad motherfucker trying to take advantage of the situation. It's always going to be greed. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the Walking Dead syndrome.
Every sci-fi film that's not just about space or something, but if it's about apocalypse or something like that, it doesn't matter what kind of government, like Manny said, doesn't matter the form. It's gonna be some greedy bitches trying to ruin it all for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Taboo Taker, you mentioned we're living in The Walking Dead in 2021. We were living in Idiocracy in 2016, so I wonder what the next movie we're living in is gonna be. Okay,
Above and beyond the realm.
we'll move on to the Biden confirmation hearing, and actually we got tagged in this and asked to play this video by Manny's wife. This is from Ben Shapiro on Facebook. It's a video of Rand Paul questioning one of the cabinet appointees.
Genital mutilation has been nearly universally condemned. Genital mutilation has been condemned by the WHO, the United Nations Children's Fund, the United Nations Population Fund. According to the WHO, genital mutilation is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights. Genital mutilation is considered particularly egregious because, as the WHO notes, it is nearly always carried out on minors and is a violation of the rights of children. Most genital mutilation is not typically performed by force, but as WHO notes, that by social convention, social norm, the social pressure to conform, to do what others do and have been doing, as well as the need to be accepted socially and the fear of being rejected by the community. American culture is now normalizing the idea that minors can be given hormones to prevent their biological development of their secondary sexual characteristics. Dr. Levine, you have supported both allowing minors to be given hormone blockers to prevent them from going through puberty, as well as surgical destruction of a minor's genitalia. Like surgical mutilation, hormonal interruption of puberty can permanently alter and prevent secondary sexual characteristics. The American College of Pediatricians reports that 80 to 95% of prepubertal children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention and social affirmation. Dr. Levine, do you believe that minors are capable of making such a life-changing decision as changing one's sex?
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I would look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question was about minors. Let's be a little more specific since you evaded the question. Do you support the government intervening to override the parent's consent to give a child puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or amputation surgery of breasts and genitalia? You have said that you're willing to accelerate the protocols for street kids. I'm alarmed that poor kids with no parents who are homeless and distraught, you would just go through this and allow that to happen to a minor. I would hope that you would have compassion for Kira Bell, who's a 23-year-old girl who was confused with her identity. At 14, she read on the internet about something about transsexual. She thought, well, maybe that's what I am. She ended up getting these puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. She had her breasts amputated. But here's what ultimately she says now. And this is a very insightful decision from someone who made a mistake but was led to believe this was a good thing by the medical community. I made a brash decision as a teenager, as a lot of teenagers do, trying to find confidence and happiness, except now the rest of my life will be negatively affected, she said, adding that the medicalized gender transitioning was a very temporary, superficial fix for a very complex identity issue. What I'm alarmed at is that you're not willing to say absolutely minors shouldn't be making decisions to amputate their breast or to amputate their genitalia. For most of our history, we have believed that minors don't have full rights and the parents need to be involved. So I'm alarmed that you won't say with certainty that minors should not have the ability to make the decision to take hormones that will affect them for the rest of their life. Will you make a more firm decision on whether or not minors should be involved in these decisions?
Senator, transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field, and if confirmed to the position of Assistant Secretary of Health, I would certainly be pleased to come to your office and talk with you and your staff about the standards of care and the complexity of this field.
Let it go into the record that the witness refused to answer the question. The question is a very specific one. Should minors be making these momentous decisions? For most of the history of medicine, we wouldn't let you have a cut sewn up in the ER, but you're willing to let a minor take things that prevent their puberty, and you think they get that back? You give a woman testosterone enough that she grows a beard, you think she's going to go back looking like a woman when you stop the testosterone? You have permanently changed them. Infertility is another problem. None of these drugs have been approved for this. They're all being used off-label. I find it ironic that the left that went nuts over hydroxychloroquine being used possibly for COVID are not alarmed that these hormones are being used off-label. There's no long-term studies. We don't know what happens to them. We do know that there are dozens and dozens of people who've been through this who regret that this happened and a permanent change happened to them. And, you know, if you've ever been around children, 14-year-olds can't make this decision. In the gender dysphoria clinic in England, 10% of the kids are between the ages of 3 and 10. We should be outraged that someone's talking to a 3-year-old about changing their sex. I can't vote for you if you can't.
Thank you so much, Senator Paul. Senator Levine, thank you for answering the question. I will turn to Senator Baldwin.
Okay, so I'm going to start off, and I know I'm about to piss the diva off here, just based upon her facial reaction. Based upon her facial reactions, I know I'm about to piss the diva off. First off, I completely agree. She danced around the question. Didn't even come close to answering the question that Senator Paul asked her. Second, I will say, based upon what he said, and I am no expert in this, do not take me as an expert in this. If these drugs are being used as something that they shouldn't be used for, or they are off-label, I would completely agree in his characterization that it is relatively hypocritical. As far as saying that minors should not be able to make these decisions for themselves, this is just once again specifically speaking on the video and not necessarily the topic that we're talking about. But should minors be able to make this decision for themselves?
With the help of their doctors, correct? Yes.
I wouldn't disagree there. I think that they should have. I think that they should have counseling to speak to them, and you know they should definitely know they should know the pros and cons of what's going on.
Yeah.
Rand makes a good point though when he says, "Can a 14-year-old make a life-altering decision?"
I don't know. What's
like
the age of consent to sexual acts in Arkansas?
16, isn't it?
I have no clue about Arkansas.
I believe it's 16.
It's 14.
It's 14, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 16.
I'm sorry,
Man.
but if a sexually active teenager cannot go to their parents because they're not trustworthy or they have extreme religious views, should they be given birth control?
It's a good point. It's a very good point. That's also a very good point.
I
Birth
personally
control is
believe
something
so.
that we need to talk about in this country because it's another something that is a life-altering and, like Rand said, a body composition altering in a lot of cases decision to make.
And if you're pro-life, you shouldn't want kids out there just making all kinds of babies that can't be cared for, because pro-life should extend past the fetus.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree. As far as the video goes, and we'll get into the actual question or the actual topic in just a moment, but as far as the actual video goes, she danced around the question.
Because it would take an hour. It would take an hour to answer. You're talking about some extremely nuanced, technical, scientific, all kinds of
Take an hour.
psychological. It's got so many layers. I mean,
Take an hour.
And she's also transgender. Like, that was disrespectful to me to even like try to put her in that position. He knew what he was doing. And besides that, he ran that day from the baseball field when all of his Republican senators were being shot. He ran like a little bitch and hid in a house. So
I don't think that has anything to do with this.
No, fuck him. I don't respect him. Fuck him.
But with that being said, did she dance around the question? Absolutely. She could have taken an hour, in my opinion. You're talking
You
about
only get 5 minutes. What are y'all talking about?
You're talking about being appointed to one of the highest offices for health in the country.
Another reason why she didn't answer is because she doesn't have to, because she has the votes. Y'all, come on, think of the politics. She doesn't have to answer his stupid ass, disrespectful ass question because she is a transgender woman.
So you think that's the only reason why he asked that question?
No, I think he was trying to put her in a precarious position and try to make something out of nothing by using her own her own gender identity as like she was gonna get all emotional and shit. Like I do think he did that. Yes, I think it was manipulative. Yes, I do.
I think he asked a question that potentially could have been something that his constituents would have wanted to know about. It's something interesting to me.
Hold on. My question is this, but who did it benefit?
And other prestigious health organizations have gotten into saying that this is something that we shouldn't do.
All health decisions are personal. All health decisions are personal.
WHO is the gold standard, then we should treat the WHO as the gold standard.
The government should not be involved in health decisions.
But next thing you know, it's going to be a religion issue.
That's what I'm saying. The government should not be involved in your personal health decisions. That includes end of life too, like right to die. They should not be involved in that. That's you and your doctors. Just like these children, their parents, and their doctors.
I don't necessarily have any problem with somebody deciding to become transgender. I don't even necessarily have a problem with any of those
What if you were
things.
born that way? How do you become transgender if you've always thought you were a different gender? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, going through the process to change your gender.
Oh, having your sex change. Okay.
Anyway, with that being said, I have no problem with that. I do feel like she was evasive in her answers. I do think she could have done a much better job than saying what she said, but you know, it is what it is. Manny?
He said, I'm not kidding.
I was letting y'all go. All right. There is a reason that there is an age bumper to smoking and to drinking and to getting tattoos. We do not feel that children of a certain age are responsible enough to make these decisions. So when it gets to that point, I think this falls under the same thing. If you identify as the opposite sex of what you were born, wait till you're 18 and you can change whatever you want.
I think you should be able to get parental consent. I wouldn't agree with that necessarily. By the way, to your question, I think it's absolutely deplorable. The age of consent in Arkansas is 14. That's disgusting. Okay.
So you're telling me if a 10-year-old decides he wants to get a full back tattoo, the parent signs off on it. Cool.
The law says parental consent but I think there actually is an age limit on it. I think it's 15. But
I think it's 15 or 16 here in the state of Arkansas.
With parental consent. But you can also consent to marry your child at 13 or 14 in Arkansas.
Say that again.
You can literally say my child who is 13 or 14 can get married. A parent can give consent to a child being married in Arkansas. That is correct.
As far as birth control that you brought up, taking birth control is not going to do something long term to anybody.
Well, that's not true. There's a lot of medical issues. Like, not all women can take the certain hormones. Like, we have a lot of complications, so it takes a while to like get the right thing.
Right. Birth control is something I'm a little sketchy on, but I definitely know that from talking with my girlfriend and other females, it changes your body. It changes your chemical compositions and things like that. So definitely,
but I had the COVID vaccine and it kickstarted my cycle when it's not time. I'm serious.
The COVID vaccine did?
Yes.
Wow.
Really?
And the reason I know for sure that it's related is because there have been other times when I've had like a shock to my system of some sort. Like, for example, like a lot of weight loss all of at once, or a different diet, like an extreme diet, and I have kickstarted it. So anything can kickstart a cycle. Hormones are crazily sensitive. And I was so mad, just so y'all know. But it's a minor inconvenience to get the vaccine, and I do feel lucky for getting the vaccine.
I thought it was just based on the taste buds, and that was it.
Another thing, though,
my arm too, but that's number one. Number two, they say, is a real doozy. And I get that on March 20th. So
another thing I'm really interested in, and you guys can answer this for me potentially. How accurate was he that, because I've never thought about it this way, but how accurate was he in saying that if you start this process, whenever you go back, it's not going to be the same? Is that an accurate statement?
I would think so.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
With the way hormones,
the hormones change the way your body develops.
Yeah.
Especially at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will point out that I thought that her dancing around the question was weird for her to say, well, put me in that position and then I'll let you know how I'll answer that.
That's
when
evasive.
They're asking her the question to find out if they should put her in that position.
Right.
Evasive twice.
I'm not denying that she was evasive. I'm just denying that she really didn't have the onus to have to answer the question. I'm just saying,
right,
evasive, but like, there were several reasons why not to get into it. One, it would take too long to explain that, and it's over a lot of people's heads. Two, she's transgender herself. She was probably going to get emotional. Number three, she's going to get the nomination, so she didn't have to. And number four, Rand Paul's disrespectful. And so it's kind of like this. This is how I respond to disrespectful men from now on. Instead of giving them a long paragraph and putting them in their place, I just go, bet. You're right. And that's what Dr. Levine just did. She said, yeah, you're right, Rand Paul, bet. And then she sat back and let his time expire. That's what she did, y'all. Come on. That's what she did. She said, bet.
I love having the diva on here. Yeah. She said, bet.
I know y'all can't stand me, but it is the diva.
No, I absolutely love that.
You're great. You're great. It's all good.
Manny, was there anything? Oh,
can
we
actually
have to
mention
talk
that
about the topic at hand. Okay, so here's my thing with this cabinet confirmation thing. Used to back even, I want to say Obama's. I don't remember. And of course, you got to remember I was 17 at the time. So I was paying attention to politics more so than any other 17-year-old. But I don't remember until Trump and now Biden. I don't remember this much politics playing a role in a confirmation hearing where it's every day on the news. Oh shit, we're about to have a battle on this confirmation. Like, Can we stop this and
Yeah.
just get back to, hey, are you qualified for the job? Yes, no, maybe so.
Of the ones who have
you have to understand that they're going to always what I call nitpick in politics, and what I mean by that is a love-hate relationship in politics where you sit up there and you have confirmations, and there's one-sided don't like individuals, and they doing it because, oh well, this is their choice. Let's sabotage the situation and say a few words and break out the paperwork and then detailed and then throw it. And it's a big issue, and then it's a whole ball of wax.
Right. I feel like both sides play that. Manny?
Of the ones who have been confirmed so far, there's only 3 that had less than, or that were in single digits with the nays.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, it's been double digit against.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's that one lady, I forgot her name, but they really don't like her because she went up against the Republicans and been talking bad about them.
She actually was very critical of Democrats as well.
Yeah.
Like, she just got a mouth on her, which I really do identify with, and that does have consequences, because I can tell you that from personal
I'm
experience.
all for equal opportunity calling dumbasses out. So Republican, Democrat, I'm all for, if you're a dumbass, get called out.
I hope it's not the Native American lady. Is it her? I don't know.
No, it's another one that just
who's been confirmed at this
because
point?
one of the I don't know if it was a senator or a congressman. He brought it up that she was very, very, really hypocritical on all of them.
We're a month in,
especially
and we don't have a
Republicans.
cabinet. Is this normal?
Yeah.
I feel like a month in, we should have a cabinet by now.
It took a long time for Trump, I want to say.
Did it?
Well, they kept coming and going and going and coming, and
plus his people weren't qualified.
Am I right to say that these past
qualified.
2 presidencies, it seems like it's become more of a fight to get your cabinet than it was with Obama, Bush, and Clinton, are the 3 that preceded these 2. It seems like it's more of a fight now.
It's going to be a fight because of what has happened, how the election came about, and there's a lot of chips on people's shoulders in politics, and they have grudges, and they're going to carry it.
Yeah,
a lot.
It's going to be this tit for tat.
Yes.
Okay, and also, like we were talking about last week a little bit, people are going to be calling in on favors that they're owed, and like y'all were talking about where is Kamala Harris, and I said it ain't important yet. She's not going to come forward until it's something really important, because all women that work too hard get called all kinds of vicious ass names, and so she's going to call in her chips when the time is right. She's laying low to call in those chips, and I believe it'll be on.
It's not even her time to make moves yet. I mean, she's just sitting back and enjoying what has happened to her, and and I agree. When it's her time, she'll show her teeth.
Oh, she will, because
she'll show her teeth.
Mm-hmm. You're from California,
woman does not play.
You should know.
She put a lot of gentlemen away.
Okay.
The time period when she was an attorney.
We're going to have to speed round these next 2 topics, because we're right up against the 2-hour marks, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. But real quick, pro-LGBTQ churches are being expelled. Meanwhile, the House passed the Equality Act. Definitely.
What are they being expelled from? I don't understand the topic.
They're being expelled. What's the big church?
It's the Southern Baptist Church. They have basically let 2 churches know that you're not Southern Baptist Church anymore. Y'all call yourself something else.
I just saw a story before we came on. The Methodist Church, the United Methodist Church, is splitting to another congregation because the United Methodist Church, some churches were allowing LGBTQ members, and now this
and
people who aren't are splitting off into their
not
own.
like Glob Memorial in San Francisco. Oh, okay.
And while I feel though that this is
So that's great. We're gonna get more churches that we don't need.
Right? Why not just say, hey, you're gay, but it's okay.
No, Manny,
No,
do you
they're
not
saying
believe
it's
that,
not okay.
that LGBTQ people are Christians or Muslims or whatever religion they choose to be?
I think what
Oh no, I'm saying on every freaking corner is a church.
Right. I think it's ridiculous that
we've got too many churches. Everybody wants to do their own religion.
While I believe that this is a good social topic, as far as politics go, I believe that the government has no role in religion and vice versa. And vice versa.
On the Equality Act, though,
Diva, you were so right on that, but all you have to do
we
is
can't
go
talk
back
over
to
each other, guys.
Sorry.
Oh, we're sorry.
Oh, Mike had started saying something.
No, I was listening. I was listening.
I'll wait.
No, Mike. Mike.
Saying on the Equality Act, I wanted to say I'm very happy. I'm shocked that a lot of these things weren't protected before this Equality Act because I thought they were. But
a lot of these things, I thought there was only two things that they pushed. What all did they? The only things that I saw was gender identity and sexual orientation.
Hold on. I sent a whole list of what protections they're actually gaining through this because Black Sheep had asked what exactly it was. Okay, the context. The bill would amend laws including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Fair Housing Act to explicitly include protections for LGBTQ people. So, I mean...
how is the housing against...
I wouldn't doubt in the South.
Don't look at me like that, girl. I don't know.
Well, for example, landlords, they don't have to... Yeah. They're not gonna. They're going to get in trouble if they get caught not renting to LGBTQ people, which happens.
I didn't know that was a thing. I assumed a landlord trying to get paid. I mean, he's rent to somebody.
Sketchy peasant wins comment of the fucking year right there. I mean, so true, so true.
Depends on what they were doing in those churches, I guess.
So true. I apologize, Manny. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I didn't realize that LGBTQ were having problems with landlords. I didn't know that was an issue.
Example. Back in my 20s, when I was also really aware of the world, I dated a man who was a landlord, and he would screen his calls. And if the person sounded like an African American, he would not call them back. So if he would have gotten caught doing that, that was protected under law, under the Fair Housing Act, right?
I think what it's protecting is not necessarily like the big renting companies like Lindsay Management and what have you. It's these ma and pa, hey, I'm going to rent you my house or what have you. Yeah. I think that's
right.
You get said that's all it is. It's like,
and that again goes to what you can prove.
True.
Right.
True.
Because like you were saying, your ex would screen the call, but you would have to prove that he had screened the call. Well, you wouldn't have to prove. The person that called would have to prove that he screened the call.
The woman that I am today, when I wasn't 23 years old, when I'm 41, she was snitch. I call somebody.
True, Xander Rose. True. Also very true. Depends on whose Jesus you're asking. Also very damn true. Okay. Middle East turmoil. So we're going to get into this, and we have a story here from Bloomberg Quick Take.
In the first overt use of military force under President Biden, the U.S. carried out airstrikes on Iranian-backed militias in eastern Syria. This came after a series of rockets were fired in the direction of the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. Here to discuss is Bloomberg Opinion's Bobby Ghosh over in London. Hey, Bobby, thanks so much for being here. What is the message that Biden is sending Iran?
Well, Biden is sending a message that he can talk and walk and chew gum at the same time. He's been open to restarting nuclear diplomacy with Iran with a view to bringing the U.S. back into the nuclear deal that the Obama administration signed and then that the Trump administration tossed. But at the same time, he's not going to take the provocations that Iran keeps throwing America's way like these rocket attacks that you mentioned, which have been going on and have actually accelerated since Biden became president.
Okay, so I would just like to say, my boy has a pair of nuts, and test him if you want to. Test my boy if you want to, because he's not going to be like Donald Trump, and he's not going to run his mouth. But fuck with him if you want to. And I am so proud to say that there's a Democrat that is not afraid to fuck people up.
Military action in the first 30 days of his office.
I know that's going to piss a lot of Democrats off, but guess what?
Yeah,
I'm a fucking vet, and fuck any motherfucker that wants to fuck with us.
I'm actually proud of the man.
I'm proud of him too, even though I'm not for like long-term wars like Afghanistan and nation building and putting our soldiers in a place we shouldn't be for money in the military-industrial complex. But I think this was definitely warranted. What's happening in Syria is humanitarian crisis, which is what we should be using our military resources for. And that's really all I wanted to say about that. And I'll be quiet.
I know
but we stepped in Rwanda, but we're not going to go back to the 90s.
I know there was a lot of media that was anti-Trump whenever he called to fire missiles on Syria, but a lot of people, he is saying I'm not Trump, but a lot lot of people have,
I'm laughing at that one.
have backed Biden for doing it. So it's funny how the media flip-flopped on that one.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, man. I'll give you that.
Well, now hold on. Now Trump made one bold move. He dropped the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan.
I forgot about the Moab.
Just to prove something.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The media was all anti-Trump when that happened, but Joe is bombing people, and it's like, yeah, go. It's like
I'm all for if they test us. I'm different.
Oh, I am too.
If they test us,
well, I'm just saying it's funny how when Trump did it, everybody was like, oh, I can't believe he's doing that, but Biden does it, and it's like, yeah, he's great.
But on this topic, he was tough on Syria just then, or the Syria situation. But what's going on with Jamal Khashoggi? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not doing shit about that. Like, why are we so scared of Saudi Arabia? Don't get me started.
We're not yet. I will say the words yet. Like I said, I want to keep a close eye on that story because.
And there's a bunch of stuff that's
based on
going after the crown prince.
Biden ain't messed up to press that damn button.
Well, I bet Manny, because me and him are on 9/11. I bet he knows why, because Saudi Arabia owns 30% of our stock market. If they pulled their money out in one day, our whole economy would collapse. And so we're kind of beholden to them. We really are, y'all, and it's messed up. Sorry, my dogs always want to be on the show. I don't know why.
And there's a lot that's going on over there. You got stuff going on with Saudi. You got stuff going on in Iraq. And with them trying to push out the watchdogs on their uranium enrichment programs and stuff like that, it's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad, but I just wish that we would once hold Saudi. I don't know how, like send in like the Avengers or something, or like just like one ninja with like some awesome skills and like take out the crown prince. I don't know, but we don't.
Unless you're going to do the SEAL Team 6 routine.
Right, but Saudi Arabia just gets to do whatever, but that's because they own us.
Well, they're going to be able to do whatever.
I would just like to say, I think Sketchy Peasant is really the black sheep.
I like Sketchy Peasant too. It's probably one of my friends. Sorry.
No, like I said, I'm probably pissing off Democrats, but I am so proud of Joe Biden for what he did. I know he's getting a lot of flack for it, but dude,
he's getting a lot of flack.
You did not. And this was something that Trump hammered him on the campaign trail, and it may have gone into his decision making. Was, well, Joe's going to let everything slide. And I was actually interested in seeing
the person who wouldn't get along with anybody in the whole world. Literally, no allies.
That's what I was sitting here wondering. Is Joe going to let things slide? And the first chance Joe got, Joe let him know who the hell was
not letting nothing slide.
And I don't believe in the military-industrial complex and the way we choose where we use our resources and the amount we spend. So I'm with Sketchy Peasant on that one. The amount we spend is ridiculous. It could be used elsewhere, but at the same time, I don't know.
I don't think that we need to be the world's police.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, but that's how the United States was formed. It became a world police.
Space Force.
Oh my goodness! Between Sketchy Peasant and Xanderos. Oh my goodness! And I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, sir.
Xanderos.
They're just nailing these. Like Space Force is hilarious to me. But you know.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Space Force, Star Wars. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. American Idiot of the Week time. I'm gonna go with, even though I don't have a lot of details on it, I'm going to go ahead and just pick this one out of the air. Jeremy Lin came out this week and said that players in the NBA were calling coronavirus because
Good night,
sweetie.
Good night. People were calling Jeremy Lin coronavirus. So the NBA players who proceeded to call that poor man coronavirus, yeah, you're my American Idiot of the Week.
Yeah, that was really bad.
That's not bad. That's not good at all.
I forgot to pick somebody, so let me think. Y'all go ahead.
Manny
Hispanics. American Idiot of the Week is brought to you by Honeybee. You can find the link on the American Idiots page. You go get CBD oil that really helps aches and pains.
Ooh,
I've been using the roll-on. They've also got anti-aging stuff. You know, I'm not telling anybody they need it. I'm just, if you would like to go and look, I'm not gonna
say my gray hair's getting bad.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah, man, I got a few down low, man. You know.
My American Idiot of the Week is, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to steal yours from last week, girl. Ted Cruz. Monday. When we were doing our show, he was on freaking Sean or Martin. Hannity. Is it Hannity?
Yeah.
What is his first name?
Sean
Hannity?
Sean.
Okay. He was on the Hannity show blaming the media's obsession of his trip on the lack of Trump being in the news.
Wow,
the media didn't have Trump to talk about. So they were picking on him for his trip. It couldn't have been that, yes, I made a mistake and I did wrong. No, it's the media is the reason that all happened. So because he wants to point fingers, I'm picking him as the American Idiot of the Week.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
DB, you got one yet? Or do we need to go to Taboo Taker?
On it. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to think about it one more second.
Okay, Taboo Taker, who's going to be your American Idiot of the
Week? Let's see. My American Idiot is Mr. Ron Paul.
I was going to say that one. Dang. Okay, keep going.
All right, babe.
You should have went.
No, he's an all-around classic. I mean, he just think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he's not. So he's the American Idiot of the Week.
He does have a bit of confidence about
it. It's all right. I've got one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She is going to double and triple down on being a Trumpette, being a part of Trumpism. She is not apologetic about it whatsoever. Do I think she's going to win Arkansas? Unfortunately, yes. But do I think that it will be good for us? No. And I also think that it will cause a lot of drama, and we're probably going to be in the national news more when she runs for governor. And second place would be locally Asa Hutchinson for dropping the restaurant capacity to full-blown capacity now, and also taking the mask mandate away starting March 31st. And I think
that did seem a little quick.
It's very premature. I was out Friday nights, because y'all know me and my personal life activities. And honestly, it was absolutely madness downtown, and I felt extremely uncomfortable, and I ended up not staying. It was just, it was like they were let out of the cage, and everybody in the whole town was there. It was too much.
It does seem a little premature. Of course, he did say he's going to be looking at the data for the next 31 days to, and if we don't increase, he will let those expire. But even 30 days, I'm going to need you probably to the end of April at least, I would feel. But, I'm not the governor either, so it is what it is.
I will say this. He's been on national news over the weekend. He's been on CNN quite a bit, and he always says he does very well on TV, and he has been very against Trump and said flat out said this weekend, I believe on State of the Union, that he literally does not want Trump to ever run for president again. And I thought that was really brave of him to say
he
that.
was one of the ones, I believe, one of the first governors of the states that actually acknowledged Joe's victory. So I do have to give him credit there. He has done some things that have made me proud.
The other one who recognized Biden's victory was the Massachusetts.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. So basically, we're here at the end. So we went a little long this evening, but for the Diva, Manny Hispani, and Taboo Taker, I'm Money Mike, and we will see you guys next Monday night.
Bye, guys.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well,